welcome all. Today we are moving to the next topic, that is fertilization. So after pollination, fertilization may take place. Okay. So before entering the major part in fertilization, just discuss about the male and female gametophyte structure. What is the structure of male and female gametophyte? Male gametophyte, female gametophyte. Male gametophyte and female gametophyte. Okay, so male gametophyte, you know what is male gametophyte, also called as pollen grain. Male gametophyte as pollen grain. The structure is, it is more or less globulous in structure, and it has two lines, inner indane and exterior it is exine. The pollen grain, which is made up of inner wall is indane and outer wall is exine. Inner wall is indine. Okay, then some portion lack the thickening of exine. Okay, exine thickening is lack in some portion. That region of lack of exine is called germ pore. Germ pore. So through this germ pore, the pollen tube may germinate. Then come to the interior. The pollen grain, it has a large vegetative cell and a small generative cell. Okay, large vegetative cell and a small generative cell. So this is the structure of a pollen grain. So pollen grain, it has an outer thick wall called exine, which is made up of sporopollenin. It is a polymer, and the indane, which is made up of cellulose or pectin. Cellulose or pectin. Then it has a large vegetative cell having a vegetative nucleus, also called as tube nucleus. Vegetative nucleus also called as tube nucleus. Then a small generative cell having a generative nucleus. Okay, so this is the structure of a male gametophyte. This is the structure of a male gametophyte. Then come to female gametophyte. Female gametophyte called as embryo sac. Called as embryo sac. Okay, embryo sac is female gametophyte. The structure is like this. It is a 8 nucleated 7-celled structure. So embryo sac is a 8 nucleated 7-celled structure. 8 nucleated 7-celled structure. Okay, so it has 3 antipodals. Okay, the 3 antipodals having 3 nuclei. So this is called antipodals. This is called antipodals. And here the lower part, it has 2 synergids. and an egg cell and the central is a single cell having two nucleus. It is called secondary cell or polar nuclei. Polar nuclei, or we can say secondary cell or secondary nucleus. Okay, then here at the lower part there is a finger-like projections is there. Finger-like projections. It is called filiform apparatus. Filiform apparatus. So this is the structure of the embryo sac or female gametophyte. It is having 8 nuclei. Just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 nucleus. But count the number of cells 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7-celled 8 nucleated structure is the structure of female gametophyte in angiospermic plants. So you will study how these things in, I think you may study these segregation of these nucleus in the embryogenesis part. Okay, sorry, in the gametogenesis part already. So this is the structure of pollen grain as well as embryo sac. Okay, so you just keep in mind the structure. Now we will move to the fertilization portion. It has 3 antipodals, then central cell called secondary cell or central cell having 2 polar nuclei. Then this is the egg apparatus. We together call this as egg apparatus. It has a egg cell and 2 synergids. Okay, then the finger-like projections which is present in the egg apparatus is called filiform apparatus. Okay, now come to the fertilization part. So we know fertilization is the fusion of a male gamete with a female gamete. Fertilization is the fusion of male gamete with a female gamete. So during fertilization, what are the things happen? The pollen tube extends down through the style which reaches the ovary and enter into the ovule and finally get into the embryo sac. So these are the events happen. The pollen tube extend down through the style which reaches the ovary and enter into the ovule and finally it gets into the embryo sac. So in angiosperm, or we can say the major events are including fertilization are, first one is germination of pollen grain. The major events in pollination are, first one is pollen germination or growth of or germination of pollen grains. Pollen germination. So pollen germination is the first one. Then second one is growth of pollen tube. Growth of pollen tube. Okay, then the third event is entry of pollen tube into the ovule. Entry of pollen tube into the ovule. So this is the 3 major events that happening in the fertilization, that is pollen germination, growth of pollen tube and entry of pollen tube into the ovule. Okay. Then now we will discuss the events individually. First one is germination of pollen grains. Germination of pollen grains. Germination of pollen grains. So, what is meant by pollen germination? Pollen germination is the formation and growth of pollen tube. Pollen germination is the formation and growth of pollen tube. So germination of pollen grains is the formation and growth of pollen tube. Okay, this event may occur soon after the pollen grains are landed on the stigma. So this event, that is the germination of pollen grain, is occur soon after the pollen grains are landed on the stigma. And the epidermal cell of the stigma, which secrete a fluid, it contains some materials like lipid, sugar, gum and resin. Lipid, sugar, gum and resins. Okay, so the epidermal cells of the stigma may secrete some fluid which contains these things like lipid, sugar, gum and resins. Okay, so these provide an ideal medium for the germination of pollen grain and also which stimulates the pollen grain to undergo germination and to form male gametes. So the epidermal cell of the stigma which secrete a fluid contain lipid, sugar and gums which provides an ideal medium for the germination, and also it stimulates the pollen grain to undergo germination and also for the formation of male gametes. Okay, then stigma which contain certain contents having the metal boron. The metal boron. Okay, the metal boron which is present in the stigma. Okay, the boron contents of stigma and the style also stimulate the pollen germination. So first one, the epidermal cells of the stigma which secrete a fluid that helps in the germination of pollen grain. Then another thing is the boron content of the stigma and style which also stimulate the pollen germination. Then many enzymes are responsible for the germination which are present on the stigmatic surface. Okay, so that enzymes include alkaline and acid phosphatase, ribonuclease, esterase and amylase. Okay, so the enzymes like alkaline and acid phosphatase, ribonuclease, esterase and amylase. Okay, so alkaline and acid phosphatase, ribonuclease, esterase and amylase. So these are the enzymes which are present mostly which below the aperture region of pollen grain that play an important role in the pollen germination. Okay, the enzymes alkaline and acid phosphatase, ribonuclease, esterase and amylase which are present below the aperture region of pollen grain. They play a significant role in the germination of pollen grains. Okay, then the penetration of pollen tube into the stigmatic papillae is probably brought by the activity of enzyme cutinase. Okay, so the entry of the cutinase. Okay, so the penetration of pollen tube into the stigmatic papillae is due to the activity of the enzyme cutinase. Okay, so what this enzyme is doing? The enzyme degrade the cutin on the stigma. So stigma contain a material called cutin and this cutin is degraded by the enzyme cutinase. Okay, so by the activity of the enzyme cutinase, it degrades the cutin which is present on the stigma. So these are the things which helps for the germination of pollen grains. First one, the fluid which secretes from the epidermal cells of the stigma. Second, the boron content which is present in the stigma and style, and the enzymes which is present below the aperture of the pollen grain, that is alkaline and acid phosphatase, ribonuclease, esterase, amylase and cutinase. Then normally the pollen grains are monosiphonous. Normally pollen grains are monosiphonous. Monosiphonous means single pollen grain produce single pollen tube. So monosiphonous means each pollen grain produce only one pollen tube. That condition is called monosiphonous. Okay. So the important factor which determines the germination of pollen grains on the stigma is definitely pollen stigma interaction. So the important factor which determines the germination of pollen grain on the stigma is pollen stigma interactions. So the stigmatic surface, if the pollen grains are incompatible, or if the pollen grains are compatible, the stigma will accept. If the pollen grains are not compatible, that is incompatible, it will reject it. Okay, this rejection is by the certain factor which is present on the exine of incompatible pollen grains. Exine of incompatible pollen grains may contain certain factors. That factor which evoke the rejection response on the stigmatic surface. So the rejection response for the incompatible pollen. Okay, so incompatible pollen contains certain factor which is present in the exine layer. They evoke a rejection response when these pollen grains are dusted on the stigma of the flower. So these are about germination of pollen grains. Okay, now we can discuss the growth of pollen tube. The second event that is happening in the fertilization, that is growth of pollen tube. Growth of pollen tube. So this is the second event that is happening in the fertilization. So during the germination of pollen grains, the pollen grain which imbibe water swell up and rupture. So what is the how the pollen tube is started to grow? The pollen grain that imbibe water, which means that take water. As a result of this water intake, the pollen grain will swell up and it will rupture. So the pollen grains which imbibe water, they swell up and finally rupture. Okay. So the indene which gives out a tubular extension called germ tube. From the indene layer, the germ tube is produced. Indene which gives germ tube, not the exine. Okay, so the indene which gives the germ tube, that is pollen germ tube. So pollen germ tube is made up of cellulose and pectin. Why? Because the indene is made up of cellulose and pectin. So that obviously the germ tube is made up of cellulose and pectin. So the indene which gives out a tubular extension called germ tube. And these germ tube may come out of the pollen grain through the pore called germ pore. Okay. So the germ tube may come out of the pollen grain through the germ pore. In germ pore, there is no exine thick. In germ pore, it lacks exine thickness. Okay, the exine thickness is lack in the germ tube. Then, when this germ tube are come out of the pollen grain through the germ pore of the exine, it grows down through the stigma and style as a long pollen tube. Okay, so as a long pollen tube, it will grow. And finally, which enters the ovule. Finally, what happened? Which enters the ovule. So, the pollen tube may secrete some enzymes which digest the reserve food which is stored in the stigma or style. The pollen tube which secretes some enzyme. These enzymes may digest the reserve food which is present in the style and stigma, so that those pollen tube can easily go through the style and stigma. Okay, and the digested food, the reserve food is digested by the enzyme which is produced by the pollen tube for the easy traveling through the style and stigma, and these digested food will be absorbed and utilized by the pollen tube. The digested food is absorbed and utilized by the pollen tube. And the main thing, the growth of the pollen tube is stimulated by a hormone. The growth of the pollen tube is stimulated by a hormone which is produced by the gynecium. That hormone is auxin. The hormone which is produced from the gynecium which stimulates the growth of the pollen tube, that is called auxin. And the tube is attracted to the ovule by chemicals. The pollen tube which is attracted towards the ovules by certain chemicals, so that we can say the growth of pollen tube is an example for chemotropism. So growth of pollen tube is an example for chemotropism. Chemotropism. Okay. Then the growth of the tube is negatively aerotropic, which means they are away from the air. So it is called negatively aerotropic. Negatively aerotropic. Okay, so these are the main things regarding the growth of pollen tube. And the growth of the pollen tube in the style which is always directed towards the ovary. Okay, the growth of the pollen tube which is always directed towards the ovary due to certain factors like hydrotropic, chemotropic and mechanical factors. So the growth of the pollen tube is in the style is always directed towards the ovary due to the hydrotropic, chemotropic and mechanical factors. Then let us discuss about the structure that is the structural changes that is happened to the pollen grain during growth of the pollen tube. Okay, so it may contain two nucleus. One is vegetative nucleus and another one is generative nucleus. And some portion is thick due to the presence of exine. Okay, so this portion is called germ pore, which is lack of exine, and this is vegetative nucleus. This is generative nucleus. Vegetative nucleus also called as tube nucleus. Okay, So the growth of the pollen tube is primarily which is restricted to the tip where most of the cytoplasm is concentrated, and the remaining part of the pollen tube and the pollen grain are occupied by the vacuoles. Okay, the growth of the pollen tube is primarily restricted to the tip where most of the cytoplasm is concentrated, and the remaining part of the pollen tube and the pollen grains which are occupied by the vacuoles, and the cytoplasm is restricted to the tip of the pollen tube by callus plug. We will discuss callus plug. So what happens then? This is exine. Okay, then finally a long pollen tube may produce. This is small growth of pollen tube, and finally large pollen tube may produce, which may contain generative nucleus as well as tube nucleus, which contain tube nucleus as well as tube nucleus as well as generative nucleus. Tube nucleus as well as generative nucleus. Okay. In that pollen tube, the cytoplasm of the pollen tube is restricted to the tip of the pollen by the callus plug. As the pollen tube grows, the new plugs are formed continuously, which results in the decrease of the cytoplasm of pollen tube. So, several callus plugs may be formed at a short intervals in the long pollen tube. These plugs divide the pollen tube into small segments. So, what is callus plug? These are callus plug. So these are the callus plug. Okay. So as soon as the pollen tube grows, the new callus plugs are formed continuously. So several callus plugs may formed at a short intervals of time, which will form the pollen tube into small segments. So the plugs which originate as a small ring initially, and it grows centripetally, and finally it seals the tube. Okay, so this is callus tube or callus plug. Then there are so many evidences which shows that the chemotropic substance which is produced from the filiform apparatus of synergids are attract the pollen tube towards the embryo cell. So some chemicals which is produced from the filiform apparatus. Filiform apparatus which is present in the synergids, and due to these chemicals the pollen tube may direct towards the embryo sac. In many cases, the entry of pollen tube in the micropyle, which is also facilitated by the obstructor which is present on the placenta funicle or integument of the ovule. The placenta funicle or integument of ovules may contain a structure called obstructor. Okay, so these obstructor may facilitate the entry of pollen tube to the into the micropylar region. So once the pollen tube is fully formed, the content which is present inside the pollen grain which flow into the pollen tube. So this is the content. Once the pollen tube is formed, these contents from the pollen tube may moves into pollen grain may comes into the pollen tube. Okay, and the generative cell of the pollen grain, the generative cell or the generative nucleus of the pollen grain undergo mitotic division to form two male gametes. The generative nucleus undergo mitotic division to form two male gametes, and the vegetative nucleus and other contents which is present inside the pollen grain may eventually disorganize. So the formation of two non-motile microgametes, or sperms, that is the generative nucleus. So the formation of two non-motile microgametes. So this process is called microgametogenesis or spermatogenesis. So formation of two sperms from the generative nucleus, or the formation of two non-motile microgametes from the generative nucleus. This process is called microgametogenesis or spermatogenesis. Then we already discussed the vegetative nucleus and other contents which is present inside the pollen grains are gradually disorganized. In some plants, that is cereals. Okay, in some plants, that is example cereals. What happened in these type of plants? The division of generative cell and the formation of male gametes which occur much before pollination. So, in case of these cereals, the division of generative cell, that is the division of generative cell into two male gametes, and the formation of male gametes which occur much before pollination. That is, these events happened inside the pollen grains when these pollen grains are present in the anther. Okay, so this is called precocious germination. So this type of germination is called precocious germination. Precocious germination. Okay, so what is precocious germination? Precocious germination is in some plants like cereals, the division of generative cell and the formation of male gametes which occur much before pollination. So, which means even the pollen grains are remain within the anther itself. This process is called precocious germination. So, in such cases, what happens is the sterile tissues which is present in between two adjacent pollen sacs which disintegrate and forms a single pollen chamber. Okay, in case of precocious germination, the sterile tissue which is present between the two adjacent pollen sac may disintegrate and forms a single pollen chamber. So, this is about growth of pollen tube. Then, the third event, that is entry of pollen tube. Entry of pollen tube into ovule and the entry of pollen tube into embryo sac. The entry of pollen tube into ovule and the entry of pollen tube into embryo sac. Okay, entry of pollen tube. First one is entry of pollen tube into ovule. So, the entry of pollen tube into ovule are of three types. Okay, so in three methods, the pollen tube can enter into the ovule. First one is porogamy. First one is porogamy. Sorry. First one is porogamy. So what is porogamy? The entry of pollen tube into the ovule through micropyle. So through micropylar region, the pollen tube is entering into the ovule. So it is called as porogamy. Then second one is chalazomy. Second one is chalazomy. So chalazomy means the entry of pollen tube into the ovule through chalazel end. Okay. So through chalazel end. That is called chalazomy. Then the third one is mesogamy. Third one is mesogamy. So mesogamy means the entry of pollen tube into the ovule through the integuments. I think you all are familiar with the structure of ovule. If you know the structure of ovule, then you can easily study all these things. Then entry of pollen tube into the into the ovule through micropylar region is called porogamy, and the entry of pollen tube into the ovule through chalazel end it is called chalazomy, and the entry of pollen tube into the ovule through integuments is called mesogamy. The most common method or mode of pollen tube entry of pollen tube into the ovule is called porogamy. So porogamy is the most common type. Then chalazomy type entry is happen in Betula, Casuarina and Ostrea. Example is Betula, Casuarina and Ostrea. So these are the three plants where chalazomy mode of entry is taking place. Then the mesogamy type. Okay, mesogamy type, that is the entry of pollen tube into the ovule through integuments, which is usually happen in the plants Cucurbita and Populus. Cucurbita and Populus. So these are the two plants where mesogamy type of entry of pollen tube is happen. Now entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac. Entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac. Entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac. So after entering the ovule, the pollen tube grows through the nucellar tissues and which penetrates the embryo sac through the micropylar end. So after entering the ovule, the pollen tube grows through the nucellar tissues and which penetrates the embryo sac through the micropylar end. Then the penetration of pollen tube, that is the entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac may take place in some routes. Okay, that route is maybe the entry of pollen tube into embryo sac may take place between the wall of embryo. The first route is between wall of embryo sac, between wall of embryo sac and one of the synergids So the pollen tube can enter the embryo sac between the wall of embryo sac and one of the synergids. Then the second route is between the egg and one of synergids. Between the egg and one of the synergids. Okay, So this is the second route. Then third route is between the two synergids. Between the two synergids. This is the third route. Then the last route is directly into any one of the synergids. So directly into any one of the synergids. So this is the four routes where the pollen tube can enter into the embryo sac. First one is the pollen tube can enter into the embryo sac between wall of the embryo sac and one of the synergids, and the entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac by between the egg and one of the synergids, or between the two synergids, and final last route is directly into any one of the synergids. Then usually a single pollen tube enter the embryo sac. Usually a single pollen tube enter the embryo sac, but some cases 3 to 5 pollen tubes may enter the embryo sac simultaneously. So now in normal case, a single pollen tube enter into the single embryo sac. Then what happens after the entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac? After entering the embryo sac, the tip of the pollen tube rupture. After entering the pollen tube into the embryo sac, the tip of the pollen tube rupture, which causes the discharging of the whole contents which is present inside the pollen tube into the embryo sac. Those contents include cytoplasm, vegetative nucleus, and the two male gametes. Okay, so what happens after the entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac? The tip of the pollen tube ruptures, which causes the release of contents which is present inside the pollen tube. It may include cytoplasmic content, then generative nucleus, vegetative nucleus, and the two male gametes. So immediately after the release of the contents, one of the male gamete fuse with the egg to form a diploid embryo zygote. Okay, so suppose this is our embryo sac. Then the pollen tube which reaches the embryo sac. Our embryo sac is a 7-cell age nucleated unit. Here there is cola nuclei, and here it is the synergids, and this is the egg cell. Okay, so what happens means, when the pollen tube it enters the embryo sac, one male gamete fuse with the female egg. So male gamete fuse with the egg. Male gamete fuse with the egg to form a diploid embryo zygote. Form a embryo zygote. So male gamete is haploid condition. Egg is also haploid condition. So obviously the embryo zygote is diploid condition. So this is happen immediately after the pollen tube which enters the embryo sac. Okay, then the next thing which is happen is the other male gamete which fuse with the diploid secondary nucleus, or we can say diploid polar nuclei, to form a triploid endosperm zygote. So another male gamete fuse with the secondary nucleus or polar nuclei, secondary nucleus, which form endosperm zygote. Okay, so the male gamete is in haploid condition, but the secondary nucleus is in diploid condition. Why? Because there is two nucleus, so it is diploid condition. So the endosperm zygote, the chromosome condition is, the endosperm zygote is 3n condition, that is triploid in condition. Okay, so this fusion is called triple fusion. This fusion is called triple fusion. This fusion is called triple fusion. Why? Because the formation of a 3n condition, the formation of endosperm nucleus which involves 3 nuclei, therefore it is called triple fusion. Then the first one, the male gamete which fuse with egg to form a embryo zygote. This normal fusion is called syngamy. This is called syngamy, and this fusion is called triple fusion. So, two separate nuclear fusion may take place in the fertilization. Two separate fusion of nucleus takes place in the fertilization. Hence, we can call this as double fertilization. We can call this as double fertilization. Double fertilization, which may contain syngamy and triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion. Okay, so since the fertilization which involves two separate nuclear fusion, it is called double fertilization, which means the fusion between the male gamete and egg is called true fertilization or syngamy, and the secondary nucleus which fuse with the male gamete to form endosperm zygote, it is called triple fusion. Then what happened to the embryo zygote? The embryo zygote will become embryo. The embryo zygote will become developed to form or undergo divisions to form embryo, and the endosperm zygote, okay, the endosperm zygote which become a what? It will become a endosperm. So the endosperm zygote will become what? Endosperm. Okay, so this endosperm zygote is also called as primary endosperm nucleus. The endosperm zygote also called as primary endosperm nucleus. Okay, pen. Primary endosperm nucleus. The endosperm zygote also called as primary endosperm nucleus. So these are about the fertilization and double fertilization, which was first observed by the scientist Novacin. First observed by the scientist Novacin in the plants, that is Lilium and Fritillaria. In Lilium and Fritillaria. Fritillaria. So the double fertilization was first observed by Novacin in Lilium and Fritillaria. So these are about fertilization. Okay, two types of fertilization takes place in the same embryo sac, so it is called as double fertilization. Okay, now we will discuss the post-fertilization event, that is the formation of endosperm, type of endosperm, then what are about the embryo, then after that seed. Okay, so all these post-fertilization structures or events we will discuss in our next class.